So I'm out here this morning at one of my favorite spots. I haven't been here in a little while because I got to explore in other areas around the state. And this morning, in fact, I was getting ready to go out to what we traditionally call Sabe Field, where most of the work for the Bigfoot project takes place. And something just pulled me to turn left instead of right and make the drive out here. And I haven't been out here in a little while, and it's always been one of my favorite places. In fact, years ago, this was one of the first spots that I started coming to where I actually had some really amazing and unexpected contact of all different kinds. Energy anomalies and knocks and strange vocalizations and stuff. And in fact, way back then, this would have been, I don't know, back in 2016 maybe, I really didn't know what to make of it. I wasn't sure what I was hearing, and of course since then, collecting clues and researching and understanding a little better, even though the activity didn't fit very neatly within the traditional definition of Sasquatch activity, some of it did, and enough of it did that I began to understand that it's not a neat package. There are things going on with these beings that a lot of people just don't understand. They think that when they see or hear or experience unseen things, energetic things, lights, orbs and stuff, they're not connecting those dots, and they really need to be connecting those dots because they are in fact related. And so I was fortunate enough that I don't even know now what it was, but something made me go, oh, wait a minute, this isn't separate. This isn't two separate things. This is the same stuff. And so that's kind of been the way I have looked at this entire thing ever since then. So when I first got here this morning, I parked the Jeep up on the hill up there, and I did a real quick dowsing exercise to see. I specifically asked to be shown what I usually ask for when I arrive at a place, and that is beneficial lines of energy that are conducive to and supportive of beneficial contact and communication with the Sabe people or any other interdimensional or extraterrestrial people that may wish to communicate or make contact. And so I got a line that actually kind of ran diagonally right down through here. And this little spot right here has always been, of all the acres out here, this has always been my favorite spot. And I, oddly enough, all the years I've been coming out here, I've never dowsed it. And mainly because a lot of the time when I came out here, I wasn't doing that. I was just enjoying being out in the woods. And there was always snakes and stuff here. I frequently would catch them and play with them, and always lizards and things like that. So that should have been a tip-off that the energy here is good. So then I came down here and did a more concentrated area. I just dowsed around what this used to be an old pavilion, and I dowsed around this pavilion just to see if that line that I picked up, or multiple lines I picked up there, actually traversed down through here, and sure enough they did. And so as I was dowsing this, all the lines were diagonal. This area behind me, I walked this way first, and all of the lines were diagonal. They run diagonally this way. And I'm sitting right in the middle of one right here, and literally where the old columns is about where they are, and they're running diagonally through those columns. So then I turned around and went in the other direction. I went straight across to see where any intersecting lines of energy may be. And those also are running diagonally to this pavilion, which is interesting because the pavilion is pretty much oriented north-south. Exactly, dead on north-south. North is that way, which means east is that way, west is behind me. And so a lot of times the energy lines that you get will coincide with those cardinal directions. They are in direct opposition. North is this way, so you got north going this way, and these lines are running exactly diagonal to them, which is pretty cool. So anyway, I got these lines going this way, and then I came over and I dowsed this way to see what intersected. And sure enough, the other lines were also running diagonally. So not only am I sitting in a line right here that runs this way, I'm also sitting in a line that runs this way. So I'm sitting on a vortex right here, because a vortex is not a big deal. It simply is where two or more lines of energy intersect, and it does create an energetic vortex. And some of them are larger than others and more powerful than others, but it happens everywhere, all over the place. So it's not like a vortex is a big woo-woo thing. It's really not. They're everywhere. However, I have found that the vortexes, regardless of how many lines intersect and how large they are, when you're dowsing for those types of energy patterns, pay attention to the vortexes, because that's where you want to sit. And so that's that's why I'm sitting right here. So then I went back and I dowsed again, and I asked to be shown any lines of energy that I shouldn't use, that should not be used, that were not conducive to beneficial contact and communication. And I only got one in this area, and it's way over there outside of the confines of this pavilion. So I was like, that's kind of cool. So then I went back again and I asked to be shown lines of energy which I personally should utilize in an attempt to make this beneficial contact and communication with these beings. And I got this group right here. I also got the other ones that run diagonally that way, but the intersections right here, I like the way this spot feels. So this is my spot. This is the one I picked. And so then I also asked to be shown, lastly, the last thing I asked was to be shown lines of energy that would act as kind of a protective nature during that beneficial contact and communication. Not just for me. I asked for lines that could be utilized for protection of both myself and any other beings that chose to come in to communicate with me, and got these lines again. So this is a good spot. I like this spot. So while I'm doing all this, I keep hearing noises all around me, and of course I'm sure the camera's picking up there are leaves falling everywhere. It's late October, so sometimes the larger leaves, they'll hit a bunch of branches on the way down, and it actually makes a lot more noise than what you would think it would. But there were also other noises that really didn't sound like leaves, like that. I don't know if the camera picked that up or not, but so I was like, I really felt like that there was multiple presences here with me, and I'm not afraid at all. I have absolutely no fear, no created fear in my mind, but also no instinctive fear, and I pay attention to my instincts. That's basically what I use all day long, every day. And so if something in here says, hey, you better watch out, I do. But I'm just as comfortable here as I would be sitting in my recliner in my own house. And so I was like, okay, so I think there's more than one somebody here. So I picked up my dowsing rod, and I'll do this again real quick. So I picked up just one. I've got both of my rods here, but I picked up just one, and I said, please show me the direction of any and all Sabe people or extraterrestrial or interdimensional beings who may be present in both spirit and or physical body. And you can tell I've got this pointed down right now because I don't want it to start moving. So since I'm sitting down, what I'm going to do is I'm going to put my elbow on my knee to stabilize it so that it's not like moving because my hand is moving. And let's see what we get. Previously I pretty much got them all the way around. One of the most powerful signatures was right here behind me and right over there. So let's see. Please show me. And as a general rule, it sits there for a minute, and then it will start to move. Please show me the direction of any and all Sabe people or other interdimensional extraterrestrial beings which may be here, both either in spirit or in physical form. And it'll just do that. As you can tell, I'm pretty stable here. So I'm not moving it. And it'll sit there and it'll point in one direction for a little while, and then it'll swing around and point in another direction. And so far I've counted, I think, seven individual spots, which to me would indicate that there are 7 individual beings. The other thing is that when it moves real slow like that, I get the feeling that it's tracking. I think that's probably 1 or 2 or whatever, a group. I think they're moving. And I can't see anything. I wish I could. I would be so honored if they popped up over that hill right there. But I can feel something. I can feel it in here. And up over that hill, it's like, it's not in leaf noises. It's like every once in a while, when you're walking through the woods, it's kind of like if you misstep, and shuffle just a little. That's what it sounds like. So there's one over, or something is over my right shoulder. So this is a really cool thing to do. It's a lot of fun. And what's really neat is when you sit here and you listen very carefully, or you really turn your senses up high, and you, in addition to the movement of the rod, you're using your own internal senses, and you hear or sense or see something out of the corner of your eye just a split second before the rod turns in that direction. And the confirmation is really cool. So if you're interested in in doing this yourself, it's really easy. It really is. All you need is something to act as a dowsing rod. And it doesn't have to, this is just a plain copper rod. I've had these for ages, and they're just my favorites. There's nothing special about them. I know there's some out there that are extremely expensive, and they're encrusted with crystals and all kinds of stuff. But honestly, I get why that is, because a lot of those things that they have on them have certain energy signatures that are supposed to help with grounding or connecting to certain elemental energies or whatever. However, it's you that's doing the connecting. It's not the rods. There's absolutely nothing special about this at all. It all comes from here. This is just a visual recognition of what your body already knows. So you need a dowsing rod of some sort. And it's funny because you can even, a 5-gallon bucket that has one of those wire handles on it that's got the little plastic grip thing in it, you can even take one of those off of a 5-gallon bucket, bend it into an L shape with the plastic part right here, and you'll have to bend that bottom of the handle around a little to catch that that plastic handle, but the rest of it will swivel within the handle. We've used those before. You can use a clothes hanger, you can use whatever. You don't have to go out and spend money. You just need something that's capable of swinging like this while you're holding it. And then, seeing things, wind's starting to pick up a little bit. I hope it's not messing up the recording. But the next thing after you have yourself something to act as a rod is you simply are going to say something to the effect of, please show me the direction of any Sabe beings or other extraterrestrial or interdimensional beings which may be present in either spirit or physical form. And you can also add, like, within 100 yards of my current location. And it is best if you can stabilize your arm so that it's not like swinging all over the place. But let's see. So it's telling me there's still something behind me right over my right shoulder. And I get the feeling there's both a searching and a tracking function when you do this. But it's really cool, and it's a lot of fun. And right behind the camera just a second ago, I'm pretty sure, directly behind the camera, like even at the height of the camera, there was some of that shimmery air, which is usually indicative of something that is camouflaged. A lot of people use the word cloaked. It looks just like, oddly enough, it looks exactly like the special effect of the Predator in the movie Predator, where it shimmers in the air. It's exactly what it looks like. And there are people that feel like that when things are cloaked or camouflaged or partially visible, that it means that they're hiding, as in, like, in a bad way, like they're dangerous or something. And I'd really like to talk about that for a couple minutes, because I live in the same world as everybody else. We all live in the same environment. Now, granted, our little own personal ecosystems are going to be different from one another, but for the most part, we all live in the same place. And so what that means is that this place where we live, this planet that we live on, this atmosphere that we live in, the energy that we're immersed in, all of that is pretty much the same for everybody. Now, granted, we do change, we do alter energy patterns and things with our own energies, but that's a talk for another time. For right now, let's just say we all live in the same place. Whether an event is classified as good or bad, or good or evil, or appropriate or non-appropriate, depends entirely upon the perspective of the beholder. And it also depends entirely upon culture and what's acceptable to a certain people, to one culture of people, is not acceptable to another culture of people. So what I'm getting at is that whether or not these beings, when they're shimmering and in cloaked form, whether or not they're actually dangerous or not, I think doesn't depend on them near as much as it depends on the observer. I've been doing this my entire life. Literally my entire life, since the time I was a little kid. And so I do not have any fear of the unknown. So when I see something shimmering, over there, or I feel the presence of something behind me, even though I may not know exactly what it is, I don't fear the fact that I don't know what it is. I really don't have any fear of the unknown at all. To me, it's a huge puzzle. It's like a big treasure hunt. And, so let's say that the shimmer behind the camera there a few minutes ago, let's say that it was lurking around like in some sort of predatory fashion, or, that it, I don't know, let's say, just for the sake of argument, that, it wanted to snatch me up and whisk me away. Well, we're all connected energetically, and we are powerful, energetic beings. The human race is, even though most people don't know it. And so, if I had gotten scared of that shimmer behind the camera and gone, oh my God, and my body started reacting in a fearful way. It's going to rain on me. My body and my mind had started reacting in a fearful way. That would have put me in a position where it would have had power over me should it really have had ill intentions. However, I'm not afraid. I'm more curious than anything else. And so that really, really takes the wind out of the sails of anything who may have some nefarious intentions. I get really, really, really upset about what I see, in the media, and especially like on YouTube and stuff, where people that have thousands and thousands or even hundreds of thousands of subscribers, and they've got all these thousands of people hanging on their every word. They post something and 2 minutes later they've got, 10,000 views, and a week later they've got 280,000 views. I get really upset over these people promoting fear. It's fear-mongering. I don't think they even mean to do it. I think they're truly afraid themselves. And they start invoking religious beliefs, and then they start looking at these events through the lens of their own personal religious beliefs, which puts a spin on the whole thing of good versus evil. And let me tell you something. Good and evil are only in the eye of the beholder. Let's say that you have a toad. I love toads. Let's say you have a toad, and let's say that you have an eastern hognose snake. And any of you that don't live out this way probably don't know what I'm talking about, but it's a really cool snake. They look a lot like a copperhead. They're non-poisonous, but they do have a big, bulky body like a rattlesnake or a copperhead would, and they do have a triangular spade-shaped head. And their nose is hard, and it turns up on the end, and they use it as a shovel to dig with. And they're patterned like a copperhead. They're gorgeous snakes. However, their pupils are round, like all of our non-poisonous species here in this area. And the only thing they eat is toads. So you got two animals here that I really, really like. I love toads, and I love hognose snakes. They are the coolest things ever. And they'll get all excited and act all ferocious if you get too close. But then, if you call their bluff, they literally flip over on their back, open their mouth, and their tongue hangs out. They play dead. And what's really funny is that if you pick them up and turn them back over on their belly, if they were truly dead, of course, they would stay just like you put them. However, they will flip back over on their back, open their mouth, and hang their tongue out. And then when they figure out you're not really going to kill them, they come back to life. But the only thing that hognose snakes eat are toads. So you got toad, you got the hognose snake. Two of my favorite animals. The toad is sitting here, and the snake is coming up towards it. Okay, the toad sees the snake and knows that pretty much death is imminent. The snake sees the toad and sees it as sustenance. The snake is excited, I guess as snakes could be, about having something to eat. They have to work for their food. The toad, on the other hand, is not happy about this situation at all, because it could mean very likely that his life was about to end in a most horrible way. So, is the snake evil for eating the toad, for making the toad feel fear? Is the toad good because it's not the one that is undertaking a violent act? Well, no, because the toad has to eat too. So you got the snake, you got the toad, and now let's say a nice big fat horsefly comes by. What's the difference between the snake eating the toad and the toad eating the horsefly? My point is that it's all about your perspective. The snake is not evil, the toad isn't evil, the fly isn't evil. They all just are. Everything just is. The snake may seem evil to the toad, but is the snake really? No, it's just doing what snakes do. And it's a very simplistic way of explaining it, but it's basically the same all the way around us. That little thing behind the camera there a minute ago, is it good, is it evil? Neither one, it just is. All energy is neutral. All circumstances, all events are neutral until there's an observer to label them as good or bad. Moved over to the left shoulder now. So my point is that a lot of times there really isn't anything to be worried about at all, except in your own head, because you're labeling something as good or bad based on the fact that you are fearful of it because you don't know what it is. Don't be afraid of the unknown. Unknown is the greatest thing there ever was. It's so exciting. Who in the world wants to know everything? Love to explore. Like I said, it's like a great big treasure hunt. Huge puzzle. So let's see, that's 1, 2, 3, 4. And I'm wondering if, since it's pointing towards the camera there, if whatever was making that shimmer, the air shimmer back there, isn't maybe still there. And I know I'm rambling a little bit today. There's nothing scripted about this. I felt the need to come out here. And I thought, well, hell, if I'm going to come out here, I may as well bring the camera along, babble a little bit, play with the dowsing rods. And my God, it is gorgeous out here today. It is so wonderful.